Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-2 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day three. Day three of this sequence is right here outlined in this white rectangle. Now, if you haven't watched the general overview for the entire 4-2 sequence, strongly recommend you do that. You back out of this video. Right below this video is this little button. You push it and it'll catch you up on this entire sequence. It will also kind of give you the rundown on how we do these forecasts because we're going to scoot along here. All right. So when we look at day three here, it is definitely going to be a little exciting in the first 12 hours. We talked about this in the previous forecast. It really jumps up here and reaches that level 6. Okay. And then even for the first 12 hours, it's staying up at that 4 range. That's in third person. Now, after this drops off, you can see first person is going to jump up, and that's going to hold for a few hours in the second 12-hour section. So this is going to be pretty challenging. Day three will be. Now, don't forget this either. We've had these long-term rollers. So we've had emotional polarity flips that have been holding up and creating these swells in the electromagnetic energy. And that's going to kind of wear us out. So we're now in day three, and yes, it's going to come down. But when we hit this little exclamation point here, and when we get this first person agitation, just be aware you're going to be tired. Your body's going to be exhausted because what's happening here is when this pattern elevates, especially at a 4 and above, it starts to engage our defensive design. It's going to increase our sensitivity. And when your sensitivity is increased, it's going to be very easy to lose your control, to get upset, to want to argue, to do all the things that you shouldn't be doing, because when you do those things, what it does is it creates your stress. And stress accelerates your aging and it creates future states of disease. All right, so that's the unseen polarity moments for day three. Now, don't let these unseen polarity moments manipulate you, because if they do, what they're doing is they're stopping you from achieving the objective. Now, the good news for day three is the upper extremities are really light testing. We had a little bit more of both upper left and upper right in day two. They both kind of calmed down here in day three. Now, left lower quadrant, that really jumps up in day three. This is going to be the primary quadrant. A lot of people are going to notice this is a very high testing sequence. Do not be surprised if you have left lower quadrant pain. All right. And then when we look at right lower quadrant pain, that's actually pretty low too. Okay. All right. So let's get down here now. And we're going to talk about zoomed in day three. Now, when we zoom this in, we do a couple things for you. One, we put this time fields in, and this time field is synchronized to UTC time. Now, we highly suggest instead of doing the conversion, whatever time zone you're in, you just go to our live feed, healthreconnected.com, you hit play, and a time bar comes up, and it shows you exactly where we are in the sequence. So you'll know when the electromagnetics are up. You'll also know when we're being tested by an alignment. Now, an alignment, that's just when two frequencies in the same quadrant that are testing the same thing come together for a certain amount of time. Now, these purple alignments, they're testing to see how balanced our routines are. The blue alignments are testing to see how well we're getting along with our teammates. Now, don't forget, 24/7, we're always being tested on those things. These are just moments that we can really point out to you because they're stronger. Again, we're in biofeedback. If you have something good happen or something bad happen, it's going to happen during these amplified moments. And because we're designed to be defensive, it's most likely it's going to be bad. Just sorry to break your bubble, but that's why we're doing this, is to help you understand why it's so tough. Now, when we look at the alignments today, we're going to talk about first person alignments first. And when you're doing first person, we're talking about how we get along with teammates. It doesn't matter what the teammate is. If they're older, younger, male, or female, you have to master relationship with whoever it is. You have to be able to communicate with them. You have to be able to coordinate with them. You have to help them alleviate stress. You have to talk about objective and do and balance routines together to make sure future families are going to have a better experience than the one you're in. That's what you do. Now, if you're doing anything short of that, it just means you're taking damage. Now, there's a whole lot of relationships that are going to get tested in the lower quadrants of the body. So this is all about getting along with the younger teammates. So if the time bar is going through any of these blue alignments during this time, it's going to be testing left lower quadrant primarily, but also there's going to be a little bit of right lower quadrant tested. Again, these marks right here are just letting you know that you're not very balanced with the younger teammates. That's what that's all about. Now, when we get to the time alignments, there's two of them here, okay? They're also going to be testing the lower quadrant of the body. So the lower quadrant of the body, when we're dealing with routines, has to do with our individual and family routines. And a lot of people have gotten out of balance here. They've overdone their individual and family routine, and they haven't been thinking about if everyone lived like they did, would that be sustainable? Now, when the time bar is going through these purple alignments, That has to do specifically with routine. And this is going to be a tough day because there's going to be a lot of testing going on in lower quadrant here. So you're going to want to document what you feel and when you feel it. And you can see there's also overlap. So when this MP is hitting here, which is going to left lower quadrant, and when this MP is hitting here, which is going to left lower quadrant, it's going to be tough to know which one it is that's causing your low back pain. The truth is, you just need to balance both at the team level and at the routine level. And if you don't, well, you're going to expect to hurt. That's what's going to happen there. All right, so let's keep moving here. Now we're going to talk about these two graphs. These show where the strongest frequencies are going to sit for the next 24 hours. And there's a pretty big imbalance here. So you see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the left side of the body. 7 of those 8 are in the left lower quadrant. Strong frequencies rolling in that left lower quadrant. Now, if you happen to get upper quadrant pain in this next 24-hour period of time, we can be certain it's first-person relationships that are causing it, especially if it goes on for the entire 24 hours. Same thing here. If you get right lower quadrant, we know it's not your teammates that you need to work on. We know it's your routine you need to work on. That's how that works. Now, in the quadrants where there's overlap, in the orange quadrant specifically, same thing I said up here. Document what you feel when you feel it. But the truth is this. If you have lots of left lower quadrant pain, you really need to focus on getting along with younger, less mature members of the team, and you really need to focus on balancing your routine at the individual and family level. And that doesn't mean continue to overdo it. It means to look at what you're doing here and see if it can be replicated by everyone. If you're living too high on the horse and not everybody could live that way before it would exhaust our resources, it's telling you that your choices are not appropriate. Not appropriate because they have to be replicated at that larger level. All right, so that's a pretty good explanation of what you should be expecting to feel. A lot of people are going to be dealing with this left lower quadrant. And if you don't believe me, look around our world. It's completely unbalanced, okay? So definitely going to be a challenging week and specifically a challenging day for left lower quadrant. All right, so let's end this thing out. So we posted the rest of the electromagnetics for 2024. No more excuses. You can reference this graph. You can prepare for it. You can eliminate your stress by not being manipulated by this pattern. What we're trying to do is we're trying to empower as many individuals as we can. Health Reconnected wants to empower regions of individuals. And when we do that, we can create a collective effect. We are trying to help the world see what's creating all of our stress and chaos and what we need to do as individuals to start to make that better. We can heal our bodies, we can heal our societies, we can stabilize our environment, and best of all, you get to transition into a positive feedback loop when you decide to commit to this process. We're here to help. We'll see you in the next 24.